Welcome to another live session of the Raisina Dialogue, and with us today we have the young and accomplished Foreign Minister of Estonia, Mr. Urmas Reinsalu. So welcome. We just saw you speaking at the session prior to this live here, and I wanted to ask you the first question with regard to the very interesting hat that Estonia is wearing right now as a member, elected member of the UN Security Council. So we saw the Iranian foreign minister speak yesterday here at Raisina, and while he apologized for the shooting down of the civil airliner in the conflict, he also sought to put the blame on the US for it. Though those operations happened beyond the UN mandate, as a member, what do you feel, at what stage are we in that conflict? Are we at the end of it, or is it just starting, and how does this go ahead from now?
Yes, thank you for kind words. I had to travel to India to know I'm still young. But speaking about this very high-level tensions in the region, let me stress I met also with my Iranian counterpart, Mr. Sharif, and I addressed very clearly that Iran must avoid the destabilizing actions in the region. If we are looking back to not this crisis for days, but for months, so it is indeed the center point of gravity of destabilization of the region has been actions of Iran. And if we are speaking about the current situation, I would say that there have been happily the both sides, US and Iran, have given statements about the de-escalation concerning the military attacks. But I think the conflict and escalated tensions in the region will remain, and surely in the diplomatic affairs the second phase will be a large-scale disputes over the nuclear proliferation issue by Iran.
So we also saw the Russian minister speaking yesterday on how he sought to play down this use of the word rule-based order and the Indo-Pacific. But we see in the Iranian conflict, as well as in Ukraine earlier, this proliferation of anti-surface missiles. They are a real danger to civil airliners. I mean, how do you, as a member of the UNSC, reconcile with that? Russia at one end is a member there; it should be a responsible state. But other end, we're seeing these systems being used against innocent civilians. Is there a way ahead to stop this, and how can we go ahead on this?
I think Estonia fully believes in rules and UN Charter values-based world order, not tanks-based world order. And Estonia will, and also in our actions as a Security Council non-permanent member, will fully condemn the aggressive acts executed against its neighbors, Georgia and Ukraine, by Russian Federation. Speaking about these grave breaches of international humanitarian law, as we see rocket attacks, missile attacks against civilian airplanes. So let me remind that speaking about the Malaysian airplane, Russia Federation also participated in working out the United Nations Security Council resolution, which called all the countries to cooperate in investigating that matter, what happened in the territory of Ukraine during the Ukrainian-Russian aggression. But we see a full lack of cooperation actually after that United Nations resolution was passed, and this is something I fully condemn. Speaking now about the Iranian case, I spoke also with the Iranian foreign minister about that matter, and I called Iran fully cooperate, particularly with these countries whose citizens have been died in that terrible catastrophe. And it is very important that the international community, these people who suffered, lost their loved ones, they should know the truth. And so independent investigation is a must.
So, one more question on UNSC before we move on to other topics. So, you spoke earlier on the expansion of it, and how you see that the need for doing that. How do you see India's role in this? India has had concerns for a long time on how it is not being diverse enough. How do you see countries like India and maybe others playing a larger role in this?
India is a rising star, and by saying that I'm so happy because India and Estonia share the same vision of the world where without violence and human sufferings. And Estonia fully supports the enlargement of the permanent membership of United Nations Security Council, where by our vision the G4, Brazil, Germany, Japan, and as a crown jewel India should be full members. And let me welcome also the rise of India as an economic player, particularly addressing the new modern economy entrepreneurship, artificial intelligence, digital, cyber domain. This is something as Estonia most interested to cooperate with India, and I believe the future of mankind, if we're speaking about the fourth industrial revolution, is very much alike as Indian brave engineers, businessmen, talented people are now inspiring, looking at.
So, earlier today we have had a discussion on India opening up trade through the eastern route. We have seen how Russia has been pitching the Vladivostok route. There's talk of China opening another route. Now, you are a country which has interest in the Arctic. You are a region in that area. How do you see this going on? Is there a possibility of trade? Do you also have a concept of climate change coming in if that route is used? So, can you share your concerns and your views on how this can be exploited or used in the future?
Well, surely climate change will make also corrections if we are speaking about the northern sea transport corridors. Estonia, as a member of European Union, is very concerned about the geostrategic issues in Arctic. We believe Arctic should not be used as a certain playground of military issues, and therefore Estonia will appeal also to observer membership in Arctic Council, to the international cooperation network which is dedicated particularly to address peaceful issues in that region. And but strategically, yes, we are very interested in building up a north-south transport corridors. We are going to have a strategic railway road from Tallinn to the Central Europe. We are debating about the issue of having Tallinn-Helsinki subway tunnel, underwater tunnel, which if it would be in theory implemented, it will be the longest in the history of mankind. So we have very interesting geostrategic infrastructure project going on, and Estonia will be as a center point of this.
So, how do you see India's relation with Estonia expanding in the coming time? You did touch on how cyber is one domain that can be there, but is there anything else that you have discussed? You've had discussions, bilateral meetings here in Delhi as well. Can you share some light on what happened there, and where are we going ahead on this?
Estonia and India will share 1 year jointly in Security Council, and I already agreed with my Indian colleague that we are going to have a deep political consultations on that matter, and I would be most pleased also to raise several issues jointly with India. I would address modern security threats, particularly cyber domain. Secondly, Estonia as a member state of European Union and NATO would like to be very much an advocate and friend inside these collective security and political organizations, also to rise level of ambition of relations with India. India is a global player whose peaceful, friendly vision on the issues which do have a global importance gives a wide corridor of cooperation in very different collective but also bilateral formats.
I think that's all we have time for today, but to wrap it up, a very interesting year ahead for India and Estonia together at the UNSC, and lots of areas for cooperation in the coming times. Please stay tuned in for more lives at the Raisina Dialogue.